Hello nieces, hello nephews, it's your Uncle Charles here and welcome back to my YouTube channel where we do unbiased price action analysis. Back from vacation and I was hoping we get some good tradable moves for the SPY, and instead it gave us a chop day. You guys can see here on a 30-minute chart, this right here, this little patch of work right here, that was today's price action. And as you guys can see, it was pretty choppy. We had a range. You can see, refer to my orange trend line here. We had a range that it was chopping between 434.3 to 436.2-ish. Market was building liquidity, right? Areas of liquidity as they built this chop range. You can see at the end of the day and in the afternoon, market went for a nice liquidity hunt right there. We can get rid of this dollar sign because liquidity is out. Got some selling pressure towards the end of the day, guys. That's usually a bearish indicator. Selling pressure in the last 30 minutes of the trading day is usually a sign that tomorrow could be a red day or we could get a gap down. And it's very similar to when we get end of day rallies. When we get buying pressure at the end of the day, is usually a sign that the next day will be bullish or we'll get a gap up. But we'll see tomorrow how well that theory ages, okay? So before we get into the price action plan for tomorrow, I do want to do a little recap. If you refer to last week's video before I went on vacation, last Wednesday's video, I mentioned the area of imbalance that was on the daily chart, okay? If you go to last Wednesday's video, or it might have been last Tuesday's video, go to the 2-minute 27 mark, 2-minute 27 second mark. I showed you guys how to identify areas of liquidity. Areas of imbalance, which is all smart money concept. And I mentioned that if we can clear 437, that we can go fill that area of liquidity. You guys can see here on the daily chart, we cleared 437 last week, and we filled that area of liquidity before we finally got the pullback. So we can get rid of this blue zone because it's already filled. No more area of liquidity. All right. And then you can see after we filled the area of liquidity, did we have to call a top? No. All we had to do was wait for the false breakout setup. All right. I had a level right here at 441.5 to 442 zone based on the 1.618 Fibonacci extension level. You see it broke down, and this false breakout triggered a nice gap down and moved to the downside with today's low around 434.3. Okay, so now that we got the recap out of the way, that brings me to today's price action, which I mentioned earlier was chopping. Okay, it was chopping and it built the liquidity. End of day, it took out the liquidity to the upside and it pushed it to the downside. Now we have liquidity just under that 434.3-ish level. All right, there's liquidity there. We'll see if the market makers will look to go hunt that. If it hunts it, breaks below 434.3 and then recapture, that's a false breakdown setup. That will be a trigger to go long. However, I do want to zoom out a little bit. Let me move that dollar sign. Looking like a head and shoulder pattern forming here. And I do have the neckline, this blue trend line right here. I do have the neckline around that 434 level, 434.3. So multiple reasons to get bearish and look to short if that 434, 434.3 zone fail as support. Guys, you got my bearish plan here. Breakdown of 434, I would be bearish. I would look to short. I would enter puts, whatever your drug of choice is when it comes to the stock market. I would look to short below 434 and I would target 432.7 and possibly down to 429.6 to 430 zone. Let me explain where these levels are coming from. So you guys know where that 434 level is coming from. The 432.7 level, however, is my 1.382 Fibonacci level. Okay? And if I zoom out, remember we are on a downtrend since January of 2022 down to October of 2022 low. I have Fibonacci levels. All right, and that 61.8 Fib levels at 429.6. If you are bear, you want to see that level break down. All right, but before we can even worry about that level, as I mentioned, 434 level is a critical level. It was the bottom of today's chop range. It's also my neckline of my head and shoulder pattern. Multiple reasons why bears need 434 to fail to trigger more downside. All right, guys. So that's the bear case scenario. Now, if SPY decides to bounce, I will only trust a bounce from support when it clears a resistance. As you guys know, we had that 435.5 level that I've mentioned, and I've said many times the false breakdown setup is the greatest setup of all time. We had a false breakdown setup of that 435.5 level last Wednesday, which triggered the move up to 443.8ish, filling in that area of imbalance. Was that false breakdown setup of 435.5 that triggered it. Keep in mind, it was the false breakdown of 429.6 and the false breakdown of 427 that triggered the nice rally to the upside. It was a $20 plus rally. Okay? So, even seeing the false breakdown setup of 435, it worked yesterday's price action as well, but the move wasn't as high. But seeing how it didn't quite work today. It didn't quite work today. And if you're a bear, that should make you smile. Okay? Because we've seen how well the false breakdown worked in the past when it works. And we've seen multiple times, a couple of times since last week, that false breakdown of 435.5 worked, at least for a good level-to-level tradable move. However, it did not work much as well today. It did work well towards the end of the day, but it didn't clear any critical resistant levels. As a matter of fact, it just closed lower towards the end of the day. As I mentioned, we got the selling pressure at the in power hour. Okay, so if you're a bear, that should put a smile on your face to see a trade setup that was working so well showing signs that it's not working as well. All right, so if you're a bear, you want to see SPY stay below 435 and 437 highest, and you want to see for the trigger for more downside, you want to see 434 fail as support to put 432.7 and 429.6 to the 430 zone in play. All right, now let me show some love to the bears. Bears, you already know, don't call a bottom. Wait for that false breakdown setup. We are losing some critical support levels right now. 437 and 435.5, in my opinion, were critical support levels. All right? So if you're a bull, you want to see those levels recapture. 435.5. There was an intraday level today at 436.2. You can reference that as well. All right? But overall, I would be a lot more bullish above 437. If you go to the daily chart, 437 is my 1.5 Fibonacci extension level. It's a fib level based on the daily chart. All right, so I can't get fully bullish unless 437 is recaptured. If it does, that is when I would look to long with 438.5 in play. And there's a gap at the 439.5 to 440 zone with 451.5 and 443 plus back in play. Above that, above 444, we could go to new 52-week high. As far as the bull case scenario goes, it will not start unless we could get above 435.5 and 437. So the bull case scenario that I got for you guys is straightforward, and I hope it will serve you guys well tomorrow. All right. Triple Q here. I had a plan in Triple Q to short below 364. In the morning, it gave us a nice move to the downside. Almost a $4 move, $3+ move before it rallied back to the upside. The high up to of that rally in the afternoon, it went as high as 364.5ish. So that would be a new resistant level that I'll be watching. And of course, 363 is also a resistant level. All right. So don't look too long unless we can get back above 363 and 364.5 to put 366, 368, and 370 back in play. All right, as of right now, if I zoom out a little bit, I also, you guys can see the head and shoulder pattern on the triple Q as well. Neckline is around 361.5. If that failed, look to short with 360, 358, and 356 back in play. Okay, so let's keep this simple. Look to long above 363, size down, but I'll be a lot more bullish above 364.5. But below 361.5 would be bearish. Breakdown of the neckline with 360 and lower in play. Okay, IWM. Now I have a fib level at 50% fib level at 183.3. IWM cleared this last Tuesday. Today it back tested as a support, trying to confirm the role change, trying to confirm the breakout. Okay, but like I always say, trust the bounce off support when it clears of resistance, starting with 185.8 and 187. That's when I would trust the bounce. If it clears those levels, that's when I would long. Okay, with 189.3 and 192.4 as my targets above. Now, if 183.3 fails, or it lingers around this support and bases right around this support, that's not a bullish sign. That's actually a bearish sign. And this level showing lack of strength. So if 183.3 fails, that will be bearish, with 181.8 and 180.5 and 179.6 in play. Okay, Tesla, we had a beautiful trade setup in Tesla. I gotta show you guys the Tesla analysis. I had a bull case and a bear case, but the bear case played out well, and I mentioned the levels 277.5 and 275.5, and to short if those support level fails. And you can see here on Tesla, holy moly, it just broke down beautifully, and it bounced right off of my 1.618 fib level at 258. Okay, so as of right now, if you're a bear and if you want more downside, look to short below 258. All right, there is support at 255.5, 252.5, and 250. Put those levels on your charts. If they break down, look to short. If you're a bull, you want to see 263.5 recapture to clear 269, 274.6, and possibly a retest of 277.5ish. All right, you got my level, guys. 258 breaks down, look to short. 263.5 recaptures, look to long. Okay, if I had to take a guess, I would think Tesla's gonna pull back some more, because that was some strong selling pressure. And here is NVDA. Holy moly, NVDA paid for Uncle Charles' Disney trip. We had an alert in the group. Trade ideas, I put all, if you're a tier 2 or above, I put a lot of trade ideas into 2 to 3 a day in my trade ideas room. Okay, NVDA was one of the stocks that I alerted today, and I mentioned short below 434 or 430 with lower price targets in play. And in the morning, it started off very, very beautiful, broke down the 434 level, broke down the 430 level, went as low as 420.8ish before it bounced. Okay, and I have my levels here. If you use Uncle Charles' level in the FANG level room, where I put all the levels for NVDA and stuff, you can see when NVDA recaptured the levels, because when it bounced, it recaptured some levels, of course, 425.3, and it mentioned to push it all the way back up to 434ish, and it looked like it just back tested today's initial breakdown. Okay, you see this yellow trend line around 434. It broke it down and gave us that beautiful move that I hope all my Discord members caught. And this bounce just pretty much went back to back test the breakdown level to confirm if it's a breakdown or not. And if you ask me, it looked like it pretty much confirmed that the breakdown is legit, which makes me believe that it's possible NVDA will see more downside tomorrow. But however, price action has the final say. Now 430 is a critical resistant level for tomorrow. I can't get bullish unless that level recaptures with 432.6, 434, and of course 435.8 above that. Now if this bearish momentum continues, watch that support at 428. If 428 fails, 425.3, this support at 423.6, 421.5 and 420.8 will be support levels. Watch for the breakdowns of those levels. I do have an uptrend line here for the NVDA. Okay, you guys see the uptrend line. A third test, it only has 2 tests right now, but a third test would be at the 419.6 level, which also happens to be a pivot high back in May 30th, actually. Okay, 419.3 is actually. All right, so below 419.3, bears would definitely be taking over, be definitely taking control of the charts and momentum. Okay, guys, but use the levels to guide you. Above 430 bullish, below 428 bearish. AMD, this was also alerted in the trade ideas room. All right, 8:40 a.m. this morning. I mentioned long above 120 or short below 116.5. Depends on what the price action does. That's what we react to. It broke down support of 116.5 and went as low as 111.6. Holy moly, what beautiful trading moves. So as long as below 116.5, I'm bearish on AMD. There is a gap at 108 with 109.5 en route first as support. If those levels can fail, we're going to see a much deeper correction. If you're a bull, though, you definitely got to see a resistant recapture, especially 116.5, okay? What do I have here first? Okay, yeah, so there is resistance first at 114. So a recapture of 114 would then put 116.5 in play. And above 116.5, then I would be bullish on AMD again. But as of right now, it's looking bearish, and watch for the gap fill at 108, all right? Let's see, what else do I have here? I got the VIX, okay, the VIX. So while the SPY was pulling back some, VIX is still not popping. All right, so that's, a little concerning. But at the end of the day, the SPY and the VIX does not have to inverse each other. It does not have to do that. We got to accept that. Of course, if they do inverse each other, it would be a lot healthier and would add some more predictability to the price action. But right now, predictability is pretty low with the VIX acting like this. But it broke down a level today, 1.382 fib level at 13.3. So that's a breakdown, and it puts 12.6, 11.9, and 10.9 in play next. If it can recapture 13.3, the next fib level's at 14.16. If it can recapture that, that would be pretty bullish, putting 15.5 and 16.7 back in play. Here is the VVIX. Yeah, it opened above my 50% fib level at what's that at 96.9. Unfortunately, it broke it down intraday and continued to dump to the downside, and it closed below my 38.2 fib level at 93.48. So as long as below 93.48, the breakdown is intact. That keeps 89.2, 87.6, and 85.3 in play. Now, if it can get back above 93.48, that could be a potential false breakdown, but I'll be a lot more bullish above 97 to put 100.3, gap fill at 102.8, and 105.2 in play. Am I missing anything, guys? I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, hold on. I think I'm missing Apple. Here we go, Apple. Here is Apple. Where is all my lines and chart? Here it is. Okay, so I have support at 182.5, and this 2023 uptrend line here, the support for it now is at 179.8. So I'm still overall bearish as long as Apple's above this uptrend line. Okay, so above 179.6, I'm still bullish on Apple. Bears take over when it finally breaks down this trend line. Otherwise, it's a buy the dip market for now for Apple. For now, okay, there's resistance at 186. If 186 can clear, we may actually there is at 184.5. Sorry about that. So it's at 184.5, and then the next resistance is at 187 with 188.8 above that. Okay, so 184.5, 187, and 188 are resistance for Apple. As far as support goes, 182 and 179.6 are support. And that's the level. 179.6 is the level that bears need to break down. All right, let's end this with the option flow. But first, here's the dark pool order. Okay, guys, 2.6 billion premium at the 437.18 level. I mentioned to you guys there's a gap there. That's one of my fib levels. And now we got 2.6 billion in premium in the dark pool order coming in at the 437.18 level. Okay, that level is a very critical level. I can't get bullish unless that level is recaptured for the SPY. Okay, now we got another reason to watch that level closely. Okay, here's the SPY filter for 500k premiums or above, 81% in the puts. All right, seeing some aggressive orders bet into the downside. Here is the triple Q, 85% in the puts. All right, very bearish as well. IWM 100% in the puts, only 7,000 in contracts, so not that much. Apple 97% in the puts, nothing aggressive, only 7,000. Tesla 71% in the calls, over 21,000 in calls compared to 9,000. So yeah, we are seeing some aggressive plays coming in for Tesla. 275 strike price for this July 7th. Those are pretty short term. NVDA 56% into calls. All right, we are seeing some bearish price action, but option flow is still coming in overall bullish. AMD, nothing much for AMD, but the one that it does have is a put. And here is the VIX, 80% in the calls. Can it finally be right? Because overall VIX just looks dead. Alright guys, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more content from Uncle Charles, please consider joining my Discord. Other than that, have a great day. Peace.